Hi everybody, Candace here with Greener Farms DIY, and today we're going to be talking about how to print on fabric. You're going to need just a couple supplies to be more successful with it, and I'm finding that this Bubble Jet Set 2000, the Bubble Jet rinse, freezer paper, a high quality cotton fabric like a muslin works really well. I'm going to use a glass dish. I'm going to use my standard in-home printer, and I'm doing this outside since the agent that I'm going to be using does say to be in an area that's well ventilated. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started doing this print on fabric, true DIY style. Thanks for joining today and for being part of the YouTube channel for Greener Farms DIY. So I'm going to go ahead and get the solution as it says on the back of this bottle down into the glass dish, and then we're going to soak the fabric for 5 minutes, and then we're going to let it dry, and then I'm going to iron it flat. I'm going to iron it to the freezer paper, then I'm going to feed it through my printer, and then when it is done, after sitting for 30 minutes, I'm going to iron it after I remove it from the freezer paper, and then I'm going to soak it in the rinse and then continue to follow the directions. Alright, let's get started. Alright, I have my solution down in the pan. Got my rubber gloves on. I'm just going to lay this down in there, and I'm going to saturate. And since we're going to be ironing it flat, I don't mind kind of getting all that liquid up. And you could fill this entire bottom up with solution, but I think that's just a little wasteful. So I just, less is more. You can always add more if you need to. And since this is needing to dry, less is more. So we're just saturating the cotton, just working it around. Alright, so once you have that cotton all saturated, then it's ready to lay down for it to dry. You put your towel down, which I'm just going to put just a standard towel. I'm going to lay my fabric down. I'm just going to press it in the towel. Now don't use a fancy towel that you love, since you are adding a chemical to it. And I'm just going to let this sit here for a while and start to dry outside. Just like that. And then I'll be back with the next step. Alright, I am back, and the fabric is now dry that has the solution on it. And I'm going to now take a piece of freezer paper, and I got the glossy side facing up. I'm going to go ahead and iron down my fabric onto my freezer paper, and I do have my fabric cut a little bit bigger than my freezer paper, which is fine because we're going to be cutting it down. So I'm simply just letting my iron just rest on it. Now I have a heat press, and so I could heat press it down, but a lot of you don't have a heat press, so I'm not going to show that on the heat press. I'm just letting it have a couple seconds. So this is just allowing that wax to bond to the fabric that I treated. Alright, so now I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to iron this side. Just making it nice and flat. I think got a little wrinkle right there. My ironing board has seen better days. So once it's all down, it's nice and flat, and then we're able to take it over and we're able to cut it down to size. So I'll bring us over here where I'll be cutting it. I'm simply going to straighten up this edge. People make these boards and they put these numbers on the side. It'd be nice if the numbers actually extended further over. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but over here where all the numbers are, if you line up your fabric right on those guidelines, you can't tell where the line is. It'd be nice if they would actually put a line out here so I could line up with. So if anybody from a company that makes boards is watching that, this is kind of, when you do it this way, it's kind of crafty. You gotta look at it, move your fabric around just to see where that line is. And it's right there. Measure twice, cut once, right? Alright. Now we gotta cut straight up this way at 8.5. And again, if I'm right on that line, I can't see where my line is. I need a new blade in my razor, my rotary cutter. All right, so we got a perfect piece of 8.5 by 11. That's time to go to the printer. All right, so we're over here at the printer. It's just a standard printer. I'm gonna go ahead and click print. I did put it at the very back as a manual feed, so it's going to feed from the back where I have it. And I have my fabric facing up to feed through on the manual printer tray, and each printer is a little different, so you'll need to determine which one is best for yours. Alright, so we are done printing, and now it's time to put it in the rinse solution. Let it sit for 30 minutes first, and then follow the directions on the rinse solution, and then we're going to go ahead and continue to process it. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and pull it off of the wax, or not the wax paper, but the freezer paper. And so we just grab it at the corner, and then we just very carefully pull it off. You see, we can see the image from the back side as well as the front side. And now what we want to go ahead and do is just give it a real quick heat press and then stick it into the rinse solution. Alright, so it is all removed from the freezer paper and it's ready to follow the directions of the Bubble Jet rinse. And what you'll do is you will follow the instructions. You'll soak the fabric, and then you'll take a towel and you'll lay it on the towel you'll let it air dry. So just to recap our directions, first thing, bubble jet set 2000. You're going to want some gloves. I use gloves when I'm doing this. You're going to have a high quality cotton fabric that you're going to be using, and then you're going to be using the bubble jet rinse. Make sure you're in a well ventilated area and enjoy. I hope you guys have a lot of fun making your own printed fabric. If you don't like the color of that fabric, the picture, you want it more vivid, the way that you get a higher, picture would be to have a high resolution picture, and then you can actually increase your saturation or the colors when you're going to set your print. But this turned out perfect and I'm very pleased with it. And thank you so much for being a part of the Green Roof Farms DIY Facebook group, as well as being a subscriber on the Green Roof Farms YouTube channel. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see your projects that you make with your fabric. Thanks, everyone.